Good morning, YouTube. My name is Alex. Welcome back to the Lifting Nomad. And in this video, I want to talk about how I got shredded in 3 months after being back from a summer in Europe. As you guys know, I was in Portugal for most of the summer, living in Porto and then Lisbon, and I got a little bit fluffy, and then since then, we're back to pretty shredded cheese within just 3 months. So I want to talk about what diet, what nutrition, what I was up to the last 3 months to go from this after Portugal to shredded cheese. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Oof, look at this breakfast. Turkey pepperoni, fat-free slices of American cheese. I got a burger bun here. That cheese is just melted to perfection. And open-faced English muffin, just trying to get rid of the last of my grocery haul. But they are looking pretty good. Really high calorie, high protein, really low calorie, high protein, really clean meal that I eat all the time for breakfast, lunch, as a snack, midday. And that's pretty much what I eat most of the time is, turkey pepperoni, low fat cheese, leaner cuts of meat, leaner pieces of carbs. So for my starchy carbs like rice or bread, or potatoes, I'm trying to get the leanest and lightest calories possible while still maintaining, some good nutritional value. And yeah, that's one of my meals for today. Let's chat. Whew. All right, breakfast is done. Feeling good, feeling light and tight. So for those of you who know me or don't know me, I spent summer in Portugal and it was, first of all, amazing. I did some really cool stuff. When I first got there, I landed in Lisbon from Toronto, straight flight overnight, and then landed in Lisbon. And immediately the first thing I did was go to the train station as I was going to Porto when I first got to Portugal. So I took the train, it was about 3 hours up north along the coast. It was beautiful. The train service in Europe is overall just so much better than North America. And these trains were no exception. Really, really high end. I was in first class just because I wanted, it's not that much more expensive. And for a longer ride after I had just done an overnight flight, I wanted to be a little more comfortable. They had a wine cart, the wine cart had bread and croissants and really, really nice stuff. Super comfortable chairs, Wi-Fi, power outlets in your chair. And it was dirt cheap. I think I paid maybe $20 for the trip, round trip from Lisbon to Porto and then back. Amazing. Took 3 hours. Got to Porto after a very, very long travel day and checked in. I stayed at the Selina in downtown Porto, and it was actually really, really nice. The biggest shock was I got there at the end of June and it was pretty warm here in Toronto. I would have said maybe 25 Celsius, so high 70s, mid 70s in Fahrenheit. And when I got to Porto, it was freezing, absolutely freezing. So I had packed for hot girl summer in Portugal, of course, so I had tons of shorts and t-shirts and light clothing. And then I get there and it was 50s. And I had no coat, no sweaters, no nothing. And I couldn't believe it. It was July when I left Porto and it was still really, really cold. So, fair warning, if you're going to Porto, first of all, make sure you're packing appropriately, check the weather ahead. I had, but I guess they're just got a cold front when I first got there, which was cool, fuck me, right? And got checked into my Selina hostel, and it has this really, really nice courtyard patio where I was able to do some work, have a couple beers. There's a kitchen and you can get food there as well. And they do a pub crawl Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But the city of Porto was actually really cool. I wasn't sure what to expect getting there, but it was really, really nice. And I was able to do things like port tasting, and I checked out the harbor, and I listened to music along the water, and it was beautiful. I found a gym there, a fitness hut that was really close. It's a kind of a chain gym they have in Portugal that went to the same chain in Lisbon, so I actually just kept my membership, which was pretty convenient. Super, super cheap. I think I paid $10 for 2 weeks. That's way cheaper than you would get here in Canada, at least. And it was great. Then I went from Porto to Lisbon, where I was in Lisbon for 6 weeks, staying in São Bento near the president's or the prime minister's house. So sort of in the political neighborhood, I guess. It's called São Bento, just west of Barro Alto. Beautiful, beautiful neighborhood. And the city as a whole is really accessible. It's very walkable, but the hills are very, very demanding. But my time there was really cool for staying in shape. So I had this fitness hut membership. I was going 4 or 5 times a week, and I was averaging 15 to 20,000 steps a day. It was, a 20-minute walk to the gym. I was walking to lunch, walking to the grocery store, walking to the wine store. So it was a lot of walking and a lot of exercise, just
passively. So I actually ended up not gaining that much weight, but over the time that I was in Lisbon and then I came back to Toronto, and I was in Toronto for basically like 2 months as well, and I got back to where I am now at my mom's house after like 2 months. So I got there kind of September, October, November, and now we're at the end of November when I'm recording this. So really just 2 full months of like actually giving a shit about getting back in shape. When I came back to this house, I was 165. Now I am 157. So how did I do it in 2 months? After such like, an amazing year, an amazing time, and I met a lot of great people and did some really, really cool things. In Lisbon, we did like a harbor tour on this catamaran yacht, drinking wine. The last kind of hour of the ride, the sun had set and we were just like touring around the harbor, and actually this school of dolphins came out and started swimming alongside our boat. They were jumping up along, following the motor. So like the captain was like turning off the engine to attract them and then turning it back on. It was incredible. And then how did I go from that to, shredded again? And this year I managed to stay pretty well the same lean. I'm definitely more lean now than I have been in a long time. And basically it only took me 2 months. I got here beginning of October, it's now the end of November, and I am like purely shredded right now. 157, I'd say like 10 to 12% body fat. Still pretty strong. My lifts are mostly the highest, close to the highest they've been right now. My total is not that great. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a power lifter, but close to like 900, which isn't too bad at 157. And basically what I did was I went like full stop, and that's why I really like doing these travel breaks where, as a digital nomad, you kind of get overwhelmed and stressed out and lonely and anxious sometimes of doing this nonstop, of living at airports, living at random hostels and hotels and Airbnbs, and it's tough to get just comfortable and actually relax sometimes. So I do travel breaks where I'll come back up here to my parents for like a month or 2 months at a time to reset, stabilize my finances and plan my next trip. So that's what I did. I came back up here and got back into like my pure 6-day PPL, push-pull legs. I got a spin bike, so I've been spinning a ton, doing like 10 to 15 kilometers every single day on the spin bike, usually like half an hour, 45 minutes, working out 6-day PPL. And then I've got my food scale over there, MyFitnessPal, and like really, really, really dedicated to keeping that structure. So, right now my diet, I'm eating like 1,800 calories a day on top of like 30 minutes of cardio plus lifting 6 days a week. And then I go for a walk at lunch. So my steps right now are like 12,000 a day on average. And then I'm doing cardio plus lifting. So it is quite a lot of exercise, but for me, like I have a bad metabolism innately. I don't lose weight easily. So I have to do a lot of work and a lot of exercise in order for my body to burn that amount of calories and actually see myself losing weight week over week. So how do I track it? Well, I weigh myself every single morning at the same time wearing like nothing. I pretty much I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I take a pee, and then I'll weigh myself every single day at like 6:30 a.m. And what that does is it gets you in a consistent routine of seeing your weight at the same time. Don't get me wrong, it will fluctuate, of course, as your body digests different food, or if you ate later than normal, or you ate something you normally wouldn't, or if you ate more or less than you normally would. Sometimes your body can hold on to food longer if you eat less. That way you don't go to the bathroom and then you end up weighing more. Your bodies are kind of like fucking crazy if you think about it, right? So my advice is, like, I have a spreadsheet, and you've seen that in other videos, where I track my weight over a period of time. Because weighing yourself one day as a snapshot is really not a good indicator of what you actually weigh. And your body can change so much day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, that it's important. Like sometimes I'll wake up and I'll weigh 162. Then I'll go to I'll come out here, I'll eat breakfast, I'll have my pre-workout. Pre-workout runs right through me. I go to the bathroom, then I work out, come back inside. And before I shower, I'm like 158. So within an hour or two, you can vary quite a lot. So my advice is set up a spreadsheet where you're tracking your weight over time, and then you can do like a formula that averages that weight by week. That way you can see, like I have a formula that does it by week and then by month. So my goals are typically month-based, because weekly, it can vary a little bit. But if over, let's say 2 weeks, you're not losing weight, or if your weight's going up, if you're trying to gain weight, that's good. But if you're trying to lose it and you're not seeing progress after 2 weeks, you may want to adjust your calorie intake, or increase your cardio, increase your NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, basically like how much movement you do throughout the day. So maybe take more walking meetings, whatever that looks like for you. But generally, if you're not seeing progress after like 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you do want to change something. So that's where those formulas can really be helpful to see, one day you may be up, one day you're down, but then if you average it out of the week, you can see what you actually lost over that week period. So how do I do this while traveling? Well, I've actually have one of these travel scales, which is it's kind of like the size of a dinner plate almost, maybe even a little smaller. And it weighs like maybe 2 pounds, and I actually take it with me. So if I'm going on like a 1 or 2 week holiday, I won't, but for these remote working trips, I do want to stay in shape and keep to my plan over a set period of time. So for instance, right now I'm planning on Argentina, Peru, and Mexico for the spring. So I'm bringing this scale with me and gonna track my weight over that period. Now at the same time, right now I'm, like I said, 157, eating this 1800 calories. This week is actually the first week of my reverse diet before my trip. So typically before I leave for one of these remote working trips, I try to increase my base metabolism, or like my maintenance calories essentially. So I'll slowly increase calories for the month before that while trying to maintain the same weight, or even ideally lose weight. That way, when I do go on holidays, my body's already used to the increased calories, and then I don't all of a sudden gain a ton of weight. Because if you go from eating, let's say like 1700, 1800 calories, then you go on holiday or remote work and you're eating 2500, 3000 calories a day, that's a drastic shift, and your body all of a sudden gains a ton of weight. It's likely gonna be like glycogen stores where your carbs are refilling, or even like water retention through increased salt, but you do gain a ton of weight. It's just the way it is. Versus if you've already planned for this, like the month before you left, you're gonna increase your calories. My goal is to get to like 2200, 2300 without gaining weight. That way, when I go on holiday and I'm up to 2500, 3000 a day, it's just a little bit of a surplus. So that way, when I'm doing cardio, when I'm walking so much and moving around the city, I'm not gonna gain weight unintentionally. So that's kind of like my secret of how I did this. Nothing too crazy. I don't want to say it's like a hack or anything, but really just dedication is the key. I've been off alcohol the last 2 months while I prep for this trip. So for me, this is the best way I've found to do it, is to take these travel breaks, go somewhere where I don't have a lot of temptation. This small ass town has like 2,000 people in it. There's literally no delivery food. There's no parties, there's no bars, there's nothing. So for me, this is like rehab, basically. I come up here, I work out, I work, I make content, and I eat. And that's it for like a month or 2 months at a time. And then when I leave, my mind's right, my wallet's right, my body's tight, and I'm ready to go. But that's pretty much the video. Hopefully this was somewhat useful to give you some perspective into what I do. Obviously this isn't gonna work for everyone, but hopefully some of you out there think, maybe that sounds good. If this was useful, feel free to comment in the section below, give me a thumbs up. If it wasn't, tell me what you think, why, what can I improve on, what would be useful to see from me. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. My name is Alex. Welcome back to the Lifting Nomad. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.